There's a certain trust that grows when a man sees that a woman's goodness isn't just a facade, that she won't turn cold or calculating the moment someone is no longer useful to her, that she doesn't measure others by their utility or status, that her compassion isn't a strategy, it's a choice, over and over again. In a world that often rewards ambition over integrity, that kind of quiet character it's steady, it's rare, it's real, and perhaps most striking is when she does these things without announcing them, when her kindness doesn't need an audience, when she walks past someone struggling and helps them, not for a photo, not for applause, but simply because she couldn't look away. That kind of heart doesn't fade with time. It deepens. It makes her more trustworthy, more human, more magnetic. There's a rare beauty in someone who treats everyone with respect, not just those they find useful, entertaining, or attractive. When a woman is this way, unassuming but grounded in empathy, men feel it. It sets her apart. It shows that her kindness is not selective, that it isn't just a tool she uses to get her way, but a reflection of how she sees the world. And that worldview, because it means that if one day he falls out of favor, if he stumbles or loses something, she will still see his worth beyond what he can offer her. These small acts, the way she notices someone being left out of a conversation and pulls them in, the way she compliments someone without needing to be complimented in return, the way she quietly advocates for someone who's being disrespected, these things don't always stand out in the moment, but they add up. And for a man who's paying attention, they speak volumes about who she really is when ego and performance fall away. There's a particular kind of character that reveals itself in the quiet interactions we have with people who have no influence, no power, no social weight. It shows up in how we treat the waiter, the cleaner, the stranger on the street, or the person others tend to overlook. And men, especially the ones who value substance over style, notice how a woman moves in those moments. Not when she's trying to impress someone, not when she's being watched, but when there's no reward at stake, just a simple human exchange. Men notice when a woman is kind without condition, when she speaks with gentleness to someone who's nervous, when she smiles at the receptionist, not because she has to, but because she genuinely sees the person behind the title. They notice the way she tips, the way she says thank you, the way she offers patience to someone who's struggling instead of irritation. And it's not about trying to be nice in a performative way. Then more powerful is when a woman invites someone into that passion, not to impress them, but to share something honest. Maybe she plays a song she wrote and shrugs, not thinking it's a big deal. Maybe she mentions a dream she has and says it casually, not realizing how intently someone is listening. A man may sit there quietly, but inside, he's storing that moment. Because passion reveals truth, and truth builds connection. Not the performative kind, but the kind that's rooted in what really matters. So yes, men notice. They notice the quiet things a woman is passionate about. They notice the effort, the enthusiasm, the dedication. They see the beauty in the way she cares, sometimes obsessively, sometimes imperfectly, but always with heart. And it's in that heart, not just what she says, but what she shows, that men find something unforgettable. Passion doesn't always mean profession. It doesn't always have to make money or even make sense to others. It's simply that thing, or those few things, that ground her, that help her feel connected, that remind her who she is, especially when the rest of life gets chaotic. And men find that deeply attractive, not because it's something that serves them, but because it's something that defines her. When a woman has a passion, especially one she's nurtured over time, it shows independence, it shows identity. She is not just waiting for life to happen. She's choosing to engage with it. And that kind of fire, even if it's quiet, is something that draws men in, because it means there's more to her than what's on the surface. It means there's something real behind the smiles and conversation, something that belongs to her alone, something she doesn't need anyone's approval to pursue. Sometimes it's not even verbal. It's in her rituals, in how she sets up her space, in the way she puts care into the things she loves. It could be how she always takes time to walk in nature, or how she creates playlists for different moods, or how she supports a cause without needing to post about it. A woman's passions are often woven into the fabric of her daily life, subtle. And when a man is really paying attention, he notices not just the passion itself, but what it reveals about her values, her heart, and the inner world she carries with her everywhere. Passion reveals purpose. Even when the woman herself doesn't talk about it like it's anything special, the way she commits to it, the time she gives, the detail she pours in, the joy or even frustration she expresses when things don't go right, these are all signs of depth. So yes, men notice the moments when things don't go her way. They notice how she treats others when she's frustrated, how she talks about herself when she's failed, how she holds the line between emotion and reaction. And often it's in these very moments, not the polished ones, not the planned ones, but the raw, reactive ones, where a man sees the woman most clearly. And if she meets those moments with grounded strength, honest vulnerability, and a steady kind of self-respect, that is something he won't just notice, he'll remember it. Men also notice the resilience that lives in those moments. When a woman feels knocked down but stands up anyway, not with fake cheerfulness, but with quiet determination. When she doesn't pretend everything's okay, but she refuses to let disappointment define her mood or dictate her actions. That kind of emotional steadiness, even if it comes with trembling hands or tear-streaked cheeks, is powerful. It shows that she knows how to feel fully and recover thoughtfully, not recklessly. And maybe most of all, men notice the honesty in how she communicates her disappointment. When she says, "I was really looking forward to that," instead of shutting down completely. Or when she admits, "That hurt," instead of pretending she doesn't care. That honesty invites connection, it builds trust, it shows emotional depth, and also emotional courage. because it's easier to pretend not to feel than it is to express what you feel and risk being misunderstood. It might be something small, a messed up food order, a canceled plan, a friend who forgets her birthday. Or it might be something much bigger, a failed relationship, a missed opportunity, a moment when she hoped someone would show up for her and they didn't. Men notice what she does next. Does she breathe through it, even if she's angry or sad? Does she express what she's feeling without tearing people down? Is there maturity in her reaction, even if her feelings are raw? There's no expectation for her to be emotionless. In fact, that's not what men are drawn to. What they remember is the balance. The ability to say, "This hurt me," without losing her sense of self. The way she can cry, shout, or go quiet and still somehow maintain her dignity. That emotional regulation, that ability to sit with discomfort without making it everyone else's burden, is a sign of strength that doesn't shout. It hums. It resonates. One of the most revealing moments in anyone's character is how they respond when things don't go their way. When something they hoped for falls through, when someone lets them down, when life in all its unpredictability disrupts their plans. And men notice how a woman reacts in those moments, not because they're judging her, but because it shows so much about who she really is when the mask drops and the pressure rises. Disappointment is a mirror. It reflects what someone expects from the world and how they cope when the world doesn't meet those expectations. Some people lash out, some shut down, some retreat or blame, or collapse into resentment. But when a woman meets disappointment with grace, not perfection, but grace, it's something that leaves a lasting impression. Men see when a woman feels frustration, but doesn't let it turn her cruel. When she acknowledges pain without letting it harden her. When she's able to process emotion without weaponizing it. That kind of silence is powerful. It tells a man he's being seen, not just heard. That she's present. That she values the exchange, not just the spotlight. There's also something incredibly intimate about a woman who doesn't feel the need to constantly fill every silence. Someone who is confident enough in herself to let moments rest. That's rare. It suggests comfort, not only with others, but with herself. It's the opposite of performance. It's presence. In a world filled with noise, a woman's silence, when it's rooted in strength, intention, and awareness, can be more impactful than any monologue. Men may not always know what's wrong in that moment, but they feel the shift. The air changes. And if they care, they'll lean in, even gently, trying to understand what her silence means before assuming the worst or demanding an answer. They notice the difference between silence born from comfort and silence born from being unheard. When a woman goes quiet, especially if she's usually expressive, it's often a sign that something deeper is going on. And while not every man responds with immediate insight, many notice it and remember it, because it's in those silent spaces that vulnerability and emotional truth often live. Sometimes it's not even about something being wrong. Sometimes it's the way she listens. Men notice when a woman really hears them, not just nodding out of politeness, but truly absorbing what they're saying. They feel it in her stillness, in her focused eyes, in the way she doesn't rush to reply, but lets the moment breathe. Silence is often misunderstood. In a world that encourages constant expression, posting, performing, explaining, silence can be mistaken for absence. But the truth is, silence carries just as much meaning, if not more, than words. And men who are truly paying attention notice what a woman communicates even when she says nothing at all. Her stillness, her pause before answering, the quiet way she looks out the window when lost in thought. These are moments that speak volume. Men notice the emotion behind the quiet. Not all silences are the same. There's the peaceful kind where her presence is calm and grounded, and you can sit together without saying a word and still feel completely connected. Then there's the silence that holds weight. The kind that comes when something's bothering her, but she's not ready to talk about it yet. When your tone is slightly more tired than usual. When your smile doesn't quite reach your eyes. When something's off, even if you haven't said a word. That kind of attentiveness doesn't come from superficial interest. It comes from someone who's truly paying attention. These details often speak louder than grand declarations. They reveal what kind of person you are beneath the surface, your consistency, your quirks, your rhythm. And though you might think no one sees these things, someone often does, especially someone who genuinely cares. In fact, it's in these overlooked moments that emotional connection starts to grow. Because anyone can be captivated by a carefully curated image, but it takes a deeper kind of noticing to fall for someone's everyday, unedited self. And that's the truth most people don't talk about. Men, especially those who are truly present, notice the little things. What makes the small things so meaningful is that they're real. You're not performing, you're just being. And in a world filled with people trying to stand out by doing the most, the people who leave a lasting impact are often the ones who are simply being themselves without trying too hard. Men often remember these micro moments long after a conversation ends. Maybe it was the way you smiled at a child passing by, or how you absentmindedly doodled in the margins of your notebook during a serious discussion. These tiny gestures somehow become etched in memory. Men also notice the habits you carry, the way you always double-check the door before leaving, the specific way you organize your space, or the particular way you say someone's name that adds warmth to your words. They notice your rituals, your preferences, your small instinctive reactions. And sometimes they notice when something changes. It might surprise you just how much men notice the little things, those quiet, often overlooked details that a woman doesn't even think twice about. Not because they're looking for perfection, but because the small things are where authenticity lives. It's in those little, unintentional moments where a person's true self emerges. And that's what makes them unforgettable. Men notice the way you tuck your hair behind your ear when you're nervous, or how your voice changes ever so slightly when you're excited. They notice how your eyes light up when you talk about something you're passionate about, even if it's something they don't fully understand. They watch how you reach for your coffee the same way every morning, or how you subconsciously hum to yourself while doing something routine. These details aren't big, flashy, or staged, but that's exactly why they matter. There's also something profoundly grounding about a woman who owns both her strength and her softness, who doesn't pretend to be invincible, but who still shows up, keeps going, and holds her head high. Vulnerability, after all, doesn't mean being broken. It means being open. And a woman who is open to being hurt, but still chooses to love, to trust, to grow, that is a woman with a heart that hasn't given up on the world. That kind of resilience is rare. Men see it, even if they don't always have the words to describe it. And sometimes it's not even in what she says. It's in the quiet way she holds herself together when things fall apart. It's in the patience she gives to someone who doesn't deserve it. It's in the fact that, despite all she's been through, she still chooses hope over bitterness. She still believes in kindness. She still shows up with love. Or when she admits that she doesn't have it all together. Or when she cries not because she's fragile, but because she's human and refuses to numb herself. Men are drawn to this because in a world where so many people are trying to appear untouchable, a woman who embraces her full humanity stands out. It's easy to wear armor. It's easy to say, "I'm fine," and pretend everything's okay. What's rare and powerful is a woman who can say, "Today was hard," or "That really affected me," or "I'm still healing." That honesty requires more strength than most people realize. Men who pay attention, men who aren't just looking for surface level connection, notice this. They respect it. Because it means that woman has the emotional intelligence and bravery to be seen fully and to invite someone into her world in a genuine way. Vulnerability is often misunderstood. It's seen by some as a weakness, as something to hide or protect against. But in reality, vulnerability is one of the most powerful forms of strength a person can show. And for men observing women, especially those they admire or care about, it is something they absolutely notice. Not the polished mask of perfection, but the moments when a woman allows herself to be real, even when it's hard. That kind of openness isn't weakness, it's courage. And men feel it deeply. When a woman allows herself to be vulnerable, not for attention, not for sympathy, but simply because she's being honest about her emotions, she shows tremendous inner strength. It might be when she talks about something that hurt her in the past. It reveals a sense of playfulness, a spark of lightness, and sometimes even a glimpse of her past, how she grew up, what kinds of things make her heart feel lighter. Men notice that laugh because it makes them feel something real. It creates a moment of connection that isn't forced. It tells them she's not just someone who knows how to look good or say the right thing. She knows how to feel, how to live in the moment, how to share that moment with others without even trying. And that is rare. In a world full of polished images and curated identities, authenticity stands out. That laugh, it's the sound of someone being fully alive. And that's something a man doesn't forget. What makes it even more powerful is that it often happens when a woman forgets she's being observed. Maybe she's laughing with friends or reminiscing about a childhood memory or reacting to a completely ridiculous story someone shared. She's not trying to be charming. She simply is. Men are drawn to that. They may not say it out loud, but they often replay those moments in their minds long after the conversation ends. Not because the joke was unforgettable, but because she was unforgettable in the way she responded to it. And it's not just about humor. An unfiltered laugh shows that a woman feels safe enough to let go, that she's comfortable in her own skin, not constantly worried about how she's being perceived. That confidence, that emotional freedom is powerful. It shows that she has the ability to enjoy life, to find joy in the ordinary, and to bring that joy to others. There's something deeply unforgettable about a woman's authentic laugh, the kind that isn't filtered, restrained, or self-conscious. It's not the polite practice giggle some feel they need to give in social settings. It's the real thing, the full-bodied, unexpected, sometimes slightly awkward laugh that escapes when something truly catches her off guard. That sound, that moment, it's something men notice more than you might ever realize. When a woman laughs freely, she lets her guard down, even for just a second. In that moment, something real is revealed. There's no performance, no posturing, no trying to impress anyone. Just her, reacting honestly to something she found genuinely funny or delightful. Men notice this because it cuts through the noise of appearances and expectations. It's not about the sound itself. It's about what that laugh represents. And for many men, that's more attractive than any carefully posed photo or carefully chosen words. And here's the truth. The way a woman treats others is often how she will eventually treat a man when the initial spark fades, when the honeymoon phase is over, when life gets real. A man pays attention because he knows that kindness isn't something that can be faked for long. If a woman has a naturally kind heart, that kindness will eventually touch every corner of a relationship, through the hard conversations, the compromises, the moments when patience is tested. There's a unique kind of grace in a woman who carries herself with gentleness but not weakness, with compassion but not naivety. It's noticed, it's remembered, and it's one of the deepest kinds of beauty there is. The kind that doesn't age, doesn't fade, and doesn't depend on the spotlight to shine. That moment she picks up something someone dropped without being asked. When she says please and thank you, not as a performance, but as second nature. These tiny interactions might seem insignificant, but they reveal volumes about a person's values, upbringing, and emotional intelligence. A woman's outer beauty might light up a room, but the way she treats people, especially the ones she doesn't need anything from, illuminates her character. Men also notice how women talk about others. Is her humor based on tearing people down, or is it thoughtful and inclusive? Does she listen when someone else is speaking, or does she interrupt to steer the focus back to herself? When someone makes a mistake, is she quick to judge or slow to empathize? These are not traits that show up on social media profiles, but they show up in real life. And they stay with you. They speak to the emotional depth and emotional maturity a woman carries. One of the most underestimated things women don't realize men are watching closely is how they treat people they don't have to be kind to. While physical attraction might grab attention for a moment, what truly captures a man's respect, and often his heart, is the way a woman interacts with the world around her when she doesn't think anyone is paying attention. It could be something as simple as how she says thank you to the barista, how she holds the door open for a stranger, or how she speaks about someone who isn't in the room. These are not just background details. They are powerful signals. Men notice when a woman treats service staff with dignity, not entitlement. When she doesn't look past people who are often overlooked. The truth is, there are countless women who are physically attractive, but the ones who are unforgettable are those who know their worth. The ones who don't beg for attention because they know they deserve more than surface level interest. The ones who understand that beauty fades, but self-respect doesn't. Confidence is magnetic. It draws people in, not because it demands attention, but because it emanates a kind of calm strength. And yes, men notice that. Even if they don't always know how to describe it, they feel it. And they remember it. Men notice when a woman is at ease with herself. They notice when she doesn't need to compete or compare, when she speaks not to impress, but to connect, and when she's unafraid to say no without apology. There's a quiet power in that. It's not arrogance, it's assurance. It's not about being better than others, it's about not needing to be. And interestingly, it's often in the smallest moments that this confidence, in how she meets someone's eyes during a conversation, in how she laughs at her own jokes, even if no one else does, in how she walks away from things that don't serve her without drama, but with certainty. These are the moments men remember. Not just the way she looked in a photo, but the way she made people feel. The energy she carried, the dignity with which she moved. Men may be drawn in by beauty at first, but it's confidence that truly holds their attention. And here's the surprising part. Confidence doesn't mean being the loudest person in the room or always having the perfect comeback. It's something quieter, more powerful, and much more deeply felt. It's in how a woman carries herself when she walks into a space, not seeking validation, but simply present in her own skin, comfortable with who she is. A confident woman doesn't try to fit into an image. She defines it. She's the one who can wear something simple and still seem radiant, because her presence isn't rooted in the fabric of her clothes. It's rooted in how she values herself.